Back to Straight Facts. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn on bell notifications. Welcome to the King Rat and his rat army on the show today. Lots to talk about. We're talking about Ten Hag's pending exit, which is being set up by the Glazers. And I will be blowing Lee Gunner's mind on this when I show him some stuff that I bet he isn't even aware of. Most Man United fans don't even know about it. We're talking about Arsenal, and in my opinion, they are on another level this season. We're talking about Chelsea's crisis deepening, and is patience, is that virtue the answer here? And of course, we look ahead at the beginning of the Champions League. But Lee, no better place to start than with what's going on at Man United right now, because
you're not going to get rattled, are you, Terry?
No, not really. I know where we're at. It's been an awful start to the season. We overall, again, against Brighton, having watched the game back yesterday, which was painful. We were poor. There's a lot of pressure on the manager. There's already talk about his job being under scrutiny. We have seen the media claims today of the recruitment team don't like his recruitment. Agents that used to feed players into the club don't like that his agency are now involved. Obviously, the dressing room fracards that are going on with players fighting, the Sancho situation. It's really on top right now for him. Do you think he's at risk of losing his job, and does that fix Man United if it happens, mate?
He's definitely getting sacked. I said to you, I think last week or the week before, we'd gone by the October international break. I didn't expect you to put that level of, non-performance in against Brighton. I can't lie. That was embarrassing. And I think everything that I've said about Ten Hag is about to be proven right. Yeah, he's jobs for the boys. He's a yes man. He's only there to save the Glazers money, and is only signing players that he's worked with or knows of from that league. So it's a bit of a mess. And then all the statements that you've been putting out as a football club and players' statements and stuff like that, you're all over the place, mate. Like, honestly, I just look at it and I think he was probably hyped up because of Ajax connection, Cruyff ball and all of that. And he's worked with Pep. So everyone's put him on a pedestal. But I said to you the day he did that interview, and he said, Harry Maguire's my captain. He's a great player, blah, blah, blah. So he ain't no good. Yeah, and I've said that so many times throughout his tenure, that he ain't no good. He ain't got it. He's a yes man, and it's jobs for the boys. We all knew that Bruno was going to get the armband. Why did Bruno get it? It should have been Casemiro. I said that at the time. Casemiro should get it. You know, when you see that, and people are going to cry about this, but I don't really care. When you see that lad Hannibal jumping around fist pumping like he's just scored a Champions League final winner, that tells you everything that's wrong with that football club. The mentality of that football club in terms of used to be serial winners and now it's everyone's comfy. Yeah, that was all that right there in that celebration. I know it's his first goal. I know he's worked hard to get into the first team and all of that jazz, but he felt so comfy that he could run around doing that when you're 3-1 when he scored. I mean, great goal, lovely goal, but where's the leader? Where's the leader in that team? Where's Bruno saying, what are you doing? Come over here, pick the ball up and put it on the centre. Where is Casemiro? Why weren't Cas doing that? Where were the more experienced players in the team? Rashford, but that comes back to Ten Hag. That comes back to how he's allowed that to happen, because there ain't no winning mentality at that football club. But then I suppose that starts at the very top. And that's why they employed him, because he's just a yes man. Yeah, he's getting sacked real soon. Does it help you going forward? Depends who you bring in. Does any Man United fan think that they're going to bring in a proper manager? That's going to change the attitude?
So let's stop it there for a second. So I want to go back and delve deeper into a few things you said. When you say jobs for the boys, what do you mean?
Well, he's got his favourites, Rashford, Bruno, his agent. Like there's things that have happened along the way. Yeah,
what do you mean by his agent?
His agent is the same agent. His agent is the same agent as Højlund's.
Right.
Yeah. So come on, mate, do the maths. Right. Then pretty much every single player that is signed has come from the Dutch league or played in the Dutch league or played for him in the Dutch league. Even Mason Mount played in the Dutch league. Yeah. Then you look how much money Man United Football Club signed Lisandro and Anthony for, again, giving Ajax 140 million quid. Yeah. All a little bit weird, mate. All a little bit weird. And
So kind of overpaying for players that are managed by the agency his brother works for, and overpaying for players to help his previous clubs.
Yeah, that and his own agent. Yeah, because his agent's getting a kickback on these deals. So just rather than getting one player, he's gone and got this player instead. Like,
okay, so I understand that. So let me ask you a question. You also said he's here to save the Glazers money, and it's not trying to catch you out. It's a genuine question. How are you saving the Glazers money if you're overpaying for players to make your agent and your old clubs more money? How does that save us money?
He took 100 million quid off the wage bill since he's been there a year. 100 million a year. Yeah, so he saved the Glazers money. That 100 million that he's taken off the wage bill, there pays the debt for another year. Like, come on, man. He's only there to save them money. You get rid of Ronaldo on 500,000 a week, right? And his replacement is Højlund on what, 80 grand a week? Yeah, you get rid of David De Gea.
Just on Ronaldo, but you were somebody when Ronaldo was here. You said although he scores goals, he isn't good enough for Man United anymore.
Yeah, I'm not saying he is. I'm saying the difference in wage.
That's the point. So I understand that. So the wage bill shrunk because Ronaldo was on a huge amount of money, but Ronaldo wasn't good enough. So for me, I feel like there's a few things here that are being kind of. I understand what you mean. The wage bill has definitely reduced, but the majority of the players that have left that have reduced their wage bill were not performing for Man United. Where it would make sense is if we were getting rid of.
That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, because they did need to leave. Majority of the ones that have gone should have left.
Yes.
Right? But you now go and replace them and use the extra revenue that you've just got by getting rid of these high earners. You go and invest that into better players than the ones you've signed, or a couple more extra players on top of the ones you've signed. You go and get rid of David De Gea and bring in a Nana who's on miles less. Okay, cool. Nana's a decent keeper. He ain't shown it so far at Man United. Yeah, Højlund might turn out to be a decent striker, right? But is there a better goalkeeper on the planet that you could go and get than a Nana? Probably yes. Is there a better striker out there that you could have gone and got than Højlund? Yes. You're Man United. You've just saved all of that money by getting rid of them two, in particular, Ronaldo and De Gea. And the combined wages of them two is probably less than Ronaldo was getting in 3 days.
Yeah, so I look at it this way. I don't necessarily look at this as that he was trying to save the Glazers money, because I don't think it's that. I think you can criticize the manager's signings if they don't work out. I think that's absolutely fair because Anthony definitely deserves criticism. Been nowhere near good enough. Ended up being a waste of money. Outside of that, I'm not really judging this season's signings too early yet. Mount's had 2 games. Amrabat's not kicked the ball. Højlund's had in totality 80 minutes and unlucky not to score, unlucky not to mainly set up the Garnacho goal. And although we've conceded a lot of goals, one of those goals I think Onana could have done better with. The way our midfield has been run through and the opportunities teams have had against us, De Gea concedes the majority of those goals as well. So I'm not deep in it too much. I want to give those players more time. There's definitely areas to criticize the manager on. I don't think being a yes man and jobs for boys is too much it. The agency that his brother works for, Pep's brother also works for them as well. And only one player of that agency plays for Man United. Only one player of that agency plays for Manchester City. And only one of those, I think Gakpo is also with that agency and also plays for Liverpool. And Man United wanted him, but still couldn't get it done with his brother being there. So I think the media is kind of overstating this. When you read the article, and this is why I've said today, and a lot of United fans are angry with me, bruv, it's actually hilarious to see this because they read, I said to you the other week about headline readers.
What you're saying is they're storming off now.
No. Yeah. But they're triggered by it because they're headline readers. When I'm saying, and by the title of this video, Ten Hag's exit has begun. Doesn't mean it will complete because if results get better, they won't get rid of him. But the PR to get him out has begun. Because the article that came out today, that staff are concerned with the signings being made. When you delve into it, there's barely any mention in the article that staff are concerned. There's a few, but not many. It's all the intermediaries and the agencies that have been making money off Man United in the past 10 years who are no longer being used. They're using a different group of people. They are kicking off. Some of their players are also at Man United and not featuring regularly in the first team. So suddenly people that were making lots of money out of Man United are no longer making money out of Man United. They have a problem. The recruitment team are the ones saying we didn't want Amrabat. Yeah, their suggestion other than Amrabat was Rabiot. They didn't suggest Lisandro Martinez. They wanted Pau Torres. Now, I'm not saying Lisandro Martinez is the best centre-back in the world. I think he's definitely better than Pau Torres with what we have seen so far. They didn't want Rasmus Højlund. They wanted us to go and sign Arnautovic. They didn't want Casemiro last summer, the Man United recruiters. They wanted Rabiot. So I think there's elements of this where I'd say, listen, the manager's got to make this work, but I'm not being suckered in. There's the talk now that the players are all fighting and arguing after games. That's so atypical for players, grown men, to have face-to-face. Whether it's Sunday league, school football, or professional football, they do that. But it's being twisted into something. And I said it in a video earlier, Lee, and this is the truth. The only story missing, and wait for it to come, which is the fourth sign of the apocalypse that every manager at Man United, is the players have concerns with the training methods. And the reason that I say this, and I've got a little screenshot for you here, we've had these type of headlines for Jose and LVG and for Ollie with coach concerns and signing concerns, and staff are concerned about the future of Jose. This is what happens. And the Glazers, they either feed some of it or they allow it to happen. Because what they do is this now is where the Glazers make their money out of Man United. Because every time a manager starts to struggle, the share price starts to drop. That's people selling their shares. And do you know who buys them typically? The Glazers buy them back. Yeah. And there are multiple examples over the past decade of them purchasing millions of shares when it drops, just for them to sell it on later, whether it's the sacking of a manager or the signing of a star player. So when they signed Cristiano Ronaldo, they made £186 million themselves overnight, and the club went up in value on the stock exchange by 800 million. Now, they made more money on that signing of Ronaldo than City have won for all the trophies they have generated under Pep. That's how much more money there is in having bad news followed by positive news on the stock exchange. When Jose Mourinho, was sacked, the value of Man United jumped by 600 million, and the Glazers made £120 million profit in their back pockets overnight. And it was a similar fee when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was set. So let me just say this now. I don't disagree with some of your analysis. I don't even disagree with people, objectively speaking, that the manager's made mistakes and he might not be good enough. I'm here and I'm willing to accept that as a theory. But as a Man United fan, what I can't do for the sixth time running is believe that, one, these owners care about making us better. Two, they're going to pick the right manager next. Because me and you sat here on this show, we didn't do it with Jose, we did it with Ollie, we did it with Ragnick. And the consensus was, if we get a better manager, we'll improve. And nothing happens. I just can't waste my energy on, these are the problems with the manager. These are the problems with certain players. Sell them, sack him. We will improve. Because the Glazers could solve all these problems now by putting their foot down and ensuring we're run properly, but they won't, because this is exactly what they want. They are going to make, in my opinion, by the time Ten Hag is sacked, if he indeed goes, with the share price then skyrocketing afterwards, they will make hundreds of millions of pounds of personal profit, and the valuation of the club will rise up high, and they'll get more in their sale. This is everything the Glazers want. And I said this on the video earlier today, I am not saying, because I haven't even looked at the comments for a second because I've had the other screen up. People will say, Terry's talking rubbish, just like I said. I'm sure Terry's clutching at straws. Ten Hag is not a good manager, though. I know what you're all going to say. And I'm not disagreeing with any of you around Ten Hag. I have faith in him. You don't have to, but I don't care. Because it's inconsequential to me when you do your research and you look at all the leaked stories on all previous sacked managers, identical to what we're hearing now. You look at the timescale, identical. You look at what we call the problems, players, signings, tactics, patterns of play, player attitudes, managers throwing people under buses, identical. Everything each time is identical. We can just take out the names of previous videos. Just bleep every time I say Jose, LVG, or Ollie, and just put Ten Hag's name in there. The videos are identical. I get what you're saying, Lee, and I hope you're realizing I'm not disagreeing with you.
I understand everything you've just said about the share prices.
I'm so done with sitting here and thinking sacking managers improves Man United. The core of the club is broken. And until we fix that, manager conversations, and even to a degree, player conversations in terms of medium to long-term success are null and void. They're pointless. They're nonsensical. They are worthless in many ways, shapes. When you're reviewing an individual game, 100%. But when we're focusing on the problems at a club, It is pointless sacking Ten Hag, the same as it was pointless sacking the previous 6 managers and wasting £1.7 billion on players and salaries to be in exactly the same position that we're in now. We've got to fix the club first. Otherwise, the rest of it's futile.
Whilst you're saying about the share prices and all of that, I've got their share prices up now. It's $19.06. It's down 0.41. So 41 cents has gone down today, yeah? If you actually go back to dates that, let's have a look. 3rd of September. 3rd of September, I think 20% came off of their share price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it went, so on the 4th of September, it was down to 19.3. The 3rd of September, the day before, was 22 something. I can't see it. It's not showing me properly on the screen. It's a massive drop, is what I'm saying. From the end of August, it spiked up a little bit on the 3rd of September, and then on the 4th, it's plummeted. And then since then, it's had little spikes. Then it's dropped down again. It's had a little spike, and now it's currently sat at 19. It's just dropped again, 19.05 now, yeah? So when you're saying that Man United the Glazers have make money, well, let's say that all of these stories come out and you've got proof there that it's happened before, yeah? When you're saying they're making money off of that, surely when the spikes dropped and 20% has been wiped off, and I remember the story the other week, 600 million just wiped off just like that. So let's say they go and earn 120 million back, well, they're still 480 down.
No, so I'll explain how. Yeah, what you're missing is when they hold the shares and when they don't. So the majority of if you go back over the last 6 months, the reason that the share price got to almost its highest in its history is because of the idea that the Glazers were going to sell. They were buying shares at the beginning of that process. So they bought shares when it was lower 6 months ago. And as it gets to a height and maintains a height, they then start selling them off. So, and it's all about what you purchased at that time for. So say you bought at 12 and you sold at 19, you're making a significant profit. So they sell at 19, they get their cash back. Other people then own those A shares that have no voting rights at the club. Then when the share price starts to drop, and it's partly dropped because the sale was thought to be off and we've started badly, if they then take their money and buy those shares back again at say 19, but then we sack the manager and it spikes to 25, they make profit again. And when it hits 25, they sell. They sell again. So they're making profit. And then when it dips again at some point down the line, they buy again. So they continue to buy low and sell high in a cyclical basis. So they're not holding on. They hold on to some of their shares, but there are certain shares the Glazers have that they buy and sell on a regular basis to make money. And because none of it's being done off of actions that guarantee an increase or a decrease, they're not actually breaking any rules. Does that make sense? They're not accountable, according to the fans, for us losing. So the Glazers suddenly sell loads of shares or buy loads of shares. That's just a business transaction. Man United then go and lose their next 2 or 3 games. That's not necessarily on them. But and this has been spoken about many, many times, they make decisions at the club based on what's going on the stock exchange. So now would be a great time for us to get a boost. They sack a manager or buy a star player. Now would be a great time for it to drop because we've just sold loads of shares. So now let's release some information that we might not sell now, or we're favouring Ineos instead of the Qataris. This has been happening at the club for just over 10 years now, and it very rarely gets reported on. So as much as, and look, rivals hate this. They go, it's an excuse, Ten Hag's crap. Cool. I've said it on 3 shows now. I'm just going to concede that I'm going to put my own personal emotions aside, Lee, and say Ten Hag's shit. Just say it. That me admitting that isn't going to fix my club because the problem isn't the manager as to why we are where we are. He made mistakes at the weekend as to why we lost the game, and I'll analyze that and talk about it in isolation. But what I've seen from Man United fans this last 3 or 4 days, Lee, has infuriated me. This weird belief that getting rid of Rashford and Bruno and getting rid of the manager, okay, is going to fix Man United. And the reason I say that is because we've been down this road so many times before. And you're a successful salesman. If you tried a sales pitch and approach that every time you tried it failed, would you continue to do it?
Nope.
Or would you adapt it maybe and change it?
Yeah, well, I'd tweak it, definitely, yeah. I wouldn't be...
So this is my message to
sorry, let me just say this real quick, yeah. Right, I totally understand what you're saying, but Man United's share price in the last 1 year, so the last 365, is up 36.95%.
Mm-hmm.
year to date, yeah. So from January the 1st, it's minus 18.35%. The last 3 months, it's minus 15.33. The last 1 month, minus 12.61. And the last 5 days is minus 3.5. So if what you're saying is correct, then surely with the sale and all of that potential and all of that, how has it gone down 18.35? Because this story about the takeover and that came out in what, November, December? So the year to date, surely Man United would have been having a big spike all the way through that January, blah, blah, blah.
The spikes only really happened when the stories came out that it looked like
Ronaldo left, but come on, 18%.
No,
Ronaldo left. Come on, that doesn't make sense.
No, so what's happened is there's been spikes when they first said they were selling, and there were spikes when we thought it was going to be the Qataris. Every time it's believed the Glazers are staying or Sir Jim's coming in, there's been a decrease. But how the Glazers make their money is they buy and sell at the right times. So it isn't just, you can't just look at it as, well, you can look at the value of the company changes based on that. But them making money, they buy and sell at very specific times when they know when news and information is coming. And for one reason or another, I mean, The Guardian did a really big article on this about 2 years ago. It's very intriguing to read. As far as I'm aware, through reading through it, there's no laws that they have broken. And this is why, for me, I don't think they care about these circumstances. So I don't think they set this up. This isn't premeditated to make this happen. But they look at it, and instead of being good owners, like a Brighton, like a City, like a Bayern Munich, when they go, we've got to resolve this, it's going to impact the pitch. They see it as a money-making opportunity to go, we can do the share spike sales again and make 150 million pounds and everything else. And it becomes, mate, it's true. It's literally money for old rope, and it worries me. And look, I said it before, rivals hate this chat because it isn't what they want. What they want to hear is Rashford's trash, Bruno's trash, manager's trash, and that could all be very, very true. However, said it before, and I've said it again. I said it when we sacked. Remember me saying this to you with Ollie? If we sack Ollie, I guarantee you in 18 months, 2 years, we will be back here again. And by the way, everybody advocated bringing in Ten Hag, including me. They said he was a proper manager. And I guarantee you, Ten Hag leaves Man United, goes somewhere else and delivers. Like most of our players that leave. I really do believe he'll go and do that.
Maybe he will, but again, the pressure at Man United, no disrespect to Ajax, because I had a look at Ajax's income earlier, the revenue, The money you've given Ajax, I know you don't give them it in lump sum for the 2 players you've signed from there, is literally 40 million less than their annual income. So you've basically kept Ajax afloat. Not that they need to be afloat, but you've kept them afloat for another 1 year, pretty much 9 months of the year. The next year, I know it's in installments to payments, but the money you've given them, and that's why the pressure at Ajax is different to the pressure at Man United. You're going into a Man United team that has expectations to rise back to greatness. Ajax, cool, I know they win stuff and there's pressure to keep winning, but it's a different pressure, Terry. Yeah, it's a different pressure.
I agree. I do agree with that.
I'll tell you why. Well, I'll tell you why it's a different pressure. You haven't won anything for so long. Fair enough, he won you a trophy last season. Well done to him. Yeah, but a lot of your fans were like, yes, great trophy, whatever. But now we need to kick on and try and compete for the title. Yeah, we need to go and compete for the Champions League. Then all you've done as a football club, and I know it comes back to the owners originally. Yeah, I get that. But the owners ain't picking certain players every week when they're playing trash. The owners ain't saying, don't press anybody, let Brighton pass through you, not around you, through you.
Completely agree.
So this is what I'm saying. My point is, you can say, well, this player could be trash and he could be trash and he could be trash. That could be the case. No, it is the case. Because I'll tell you now, right? I'll tell you right now, if you went out there and got Ancelotti, for example, do you think you would have got spanked at the weekend? Do you think you'd be sitting with 3 losses in 5? Do you think that you wouldn't have any style of play that I can see at all? And I'm not even a Man United fan. Every time I watch Man U, I think, what are they trying to do here?
Lee, great question. And the reason that I say, yes, I do believe we'd be in the same position. And I think Ancelotti is amazing, by the way. And I still think he's got so much to offer football. We've had LVGs and Jose Mourinho's here who also took spankings. Now, none as big as what Ten Hag took from Liverpool last year. But I remember Jose getting spanked up by Chelsea and being 3 or 4-0 down in the opening 10, 15 minutes as an example. I remember him getting beat inexplicably by teams like Watford. We have been talking about style of play of Man United under LVG and Jose, who at the time we hired them were 2 of the most prominent, decorated and respected managers in the game. Again, I'm everything you just said there about what happened at the weekend, I agree with. And I put that on Ten Hag. And I'm open to the idea of any Man United player being sacked and any Man United player being sold, if I believe that action is going to improve the club, because my only focus here is Man United being better. That is all I care about. I am not emotionally attached to the manager. And people have done this to me with every manager. Every time there's been a managerial sacking or the talk of it happening, I'm always accused of defending the manager. And I said the same thing each time. I've offered to pay people's mortgages if they can debunk me, but they can't. I'm not here defending Ten Hag. I'm defending the position of manager and protecting the standards of Manchester United. And we cannot have standards until we start to behave properly at the highest level. So if we're going to review individual games, you're right. The press and the press triggers were off. Changing formation in the end turned out to be a catastrophic mistake because it took our width away, and that was where we were exploited.
Yeah,
he should have made changes.
Right there. Sorry to cut you off.
Go on.
Playing a diamond against a team that everyone's hyped up their left winger, right? You're playing so narrow, and they've got one of the best left wingers.
Again, we agree on that, Lee. I think that was wrong.
Why would you do that?
Again, that's a mistake. Again, Lee. So this is the point I'm trying to get to. Everything you have said about what we did wrong, what the manager did wrong, I agree with. I'm not disagreeing with any of it. That's about the game. But the problem is with Man United, when we talk about the manager struggling, it always, whether it's Sky Sports, TalkSport, TNT, YouTube, Twitter, it gets into, I don't think he's good enough, which is what you have said. So suddenly we go away from talking about the game and what we could do to improve, because your conclusion is the manager isn't good enough. Therefore, if you don't think a manager is good enough, they should be sacked, right? I don't want to put words in your mouth. So then we get into another conversation. I hear that, but with how we're run, I don't think that improves us. So I don't even want to think about it, because all it means is more money.
Why didn't you want to keep Ollie then?
But I did. I said about Ollie. No. Listen. No. It's not a wow. It's basically what you said. I said at the time, I don't see the point of sacking Ollie because I don't think in the medium to long term we'll get better. Look where I was bang on right.
I asked you a question then, right? Because
you said
it's on the Glazers and this and that. No, fair enough. You said it's on the Glazers. Listen, they're the owner of the club. They hire and fire, or they hire people to hire and fire, right? But you're saying, would it improve? It'll improve if the next manager, can get a tune out of the crap that's there now, and then add his own stamp on it, which he'll need a season. I've always said a season. The next season, you better deliver, right? Since Erik ten Hag's got there, he delivered straight away with the trophy, but he's had everything he's wanted, Terry, from the ownership. He's got rid of Ronaldo. No, he's got rid of Ronaldo. He's got rid of David De Gea. Yeah, he's got rid of every player that he's gone out of the club. Fred, who else is left? He's got Mason Mount in. He wanted Mason Mount. He signed Malacia. He signed Lissandro. He signed Anthony. Yeah, he signed Amrabat. Yeah, look at the names of the players and go and have a look where they played. They've all played in Holland, or for him, or both. So on that basis alone, you can't say that they're not his signings.
Okay, so I'm not
bad now is because of his decision making.
Again, I understand that. So again, but let's be fair with the analysis. He didn't get everybody he wanted because he didn't get Frankie de Jong. He didn't get
the ones that are there.
Okay, but he didn't get everything he wanted because he wanted Frankie de Jong, he wanted Kim Min-jae this summer, and he wanted Harry Kane, and the club couldn't get those deals delivered. He also wanted the likes of McTominay and Maguire out of the football club, and the club couldn't find Donny van der Beek, Anthony Martial. The club couldn't find buyers for them. So and that's where the issue lies. I'm not stating that he's not been given anything he wanted. That's any Man United fan saying that's a liar. But this notion that he's had everything go his way, got everything he wanted as quickly as he wanted since he's been there, is disingenuous. And this is why, like I said, if we're talking about what improves us going forward, I understand the notion of sacking a manager. But what will happen to the next guy is he'll come in. By the way, I don't trust the club to continue with whatever it is that Ten Hag is trying to build stylistically. I believe they may go in a completely new direction, which means you start from rebuild day one again. And I believe in 18 months, no matter how good the football looks, or no matter what we win year one, I believe we'll be in a situation where he's had some of the players he wanted, will definitely fail at signing others, and there will still be players here from the LVG and Jose era and the Oli era who he doesn't want to use, who become problems in the dressing room because they're on huge money that we can't get rid of because of previous legacy problems, and the cycle goes on and goes on and goes on. And
I'll tell you this all the time. You can get rid of them.
But the club don't get rid of them. Again, I agree with you. We can. But the club choose not. And this is where me and you sometimes butt heads, and I don't want to. You're right. We could turn around and just pay off Maguire's contract.
I don't even mean that, Terry. I don't even mean that. Let's take Harry Maguire, for example.
Right.
Quite clear he doesn't want the guy. He does not want him at that football club. So why do you publicly sit there last week and you said to me, Ten Hag's not a liar? Yeah, you said that to me last week when I mentioned the same thing I'm about to mention now. He's not a liar. Well, the week before, sorry. Since then, he's come out publicly again and said, Harry Maguire, after the whole England thing, yeah, Harry Maguire is a great player.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's not lying, does he actually believe that then?
So again, this is when me and you argue over, is he a liar? We both know he isn't telling the complete truth about how he feels.
He's part of the reason Harry Maguire's there then.
Okay, but no, he isn't. No, again, we have to just agree to disagree on this instead of debating the same thing every week. He has told Maguire you're going to be fourth or fifth choice. All he did in the circumstance there was not throw a... Hang on, let me finish. What he did in that circumstance was not throw a player under the bus by saying, I agree that he should be getting booed by the England fans. He just said nice things about... He just said, yeah, I know you don't like it, but that is what he did in that circumstance. At the end of the day, what we go back to the original point instead of getting sidetracked. I agree the manager's made mistakes. I agree the manager deserves criticism. I'm even on board with people saying sack him and listening to their reasons. I'm not sat here and said anything you've said is wrong, have I? I'm simply stating that this notion that he's had everything he wanted and there should be no reason why we're struggling at this point. The reason I say that's cap is because what's happening now to Ten Hag, some of it's his fault, but it's happened 6 previous times to 6 previous managers and with the same people. And listen, people in the comments are saying they own the club, they don't run it. No, look at the board who make the decisions. The majority of the percentage of the decision makers are Glazers. And the people they employ, the Richard Arnolds of this world, have been friends and close to the Glazers for decades, even before they owned Manchester United. So do your research before you speak about my football club. And if you're a Man United fan talking on the subject, do your research before you embarrass us as fans by speaking out of turn. I agree the manager deserves criticism. I criticised Rashford at the weekend. I criticised multiple players. But I am not delusional enough to think that we're going to get it 7-time lucky by picking the right manager and suddenly doing the right things. We won't get medium to long-term sustainable change, growth, and improvement until the ownership is gone. So I'm all for criticizing the manager. I just can't buy this notion that sack him and we get better. I think it's nonsense.
Well, listen, we'll agree to disagree on that, but you can get rid of players. Yeah, you're saying like there's a lot of players. Oh, but we tried to get rid of this player. We tried to get rid of that player. And you know, if the club couldn't sell him, what, we're supposed to just rip everyone's contracts up? Well, hello, we've ripped 11 up.
Okay, so let me ask contracts again. So can I ask you a question then? So if the Glazers say, if Ten Hag walks into a room, and other than saying, well, he should quit then, because I understand that response, outside of him quitting, by the way, wouldn't solve the problem of getting rid of these players. If the Glazers say we're not paying the contracts off in lump sums, how can the manager influence that, in your opinion?
Stick him in the reserves and make him leave himself. Yeah.
Slow down, because I want to counter it straight away. So he does this to Sancho, and now he's called a bully and nasty. So this is what happens at Man United. That action is followed out on a particular player.
Two totally different scenarios, because he's publicly called Sancho out, whereas he publicly kisses Harry Maguire. Like,
but why is that? Why is that though? Why is that though?
Well, we don't know the ins and outs, do we? So we're not there, Terry. We can see the snippets coming out. But
so again, so we don't know the ins and outs. We're going to judge it. But again, how? But you haven't told me how. So again, so you stick the player in the reserves, but he's still on 350 grand a week.
Yeah, cool.
If he still refuses, okay. So let me ask a question.
I'm talking about Harry Maguire.
Okay, Maguire. Then you stick him in the reserves. He's on 250 grand a week.
190.
If he still said, 190 then. If he's on 190 grand a week, and no club's willing to pay him that, how? And he's like, fine, I'll sit in the reserves. I'm still getting my 190. Okay. How has that got him out the club? You're still paying him the money. He's still in your wage bill.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, he's 30 years old. He's going to want to play for England in the Euros and potentially the next World Cup. Right? 100 grand a week he was offered at West Ham, apparently. Yeah, there's loads of reports out there saying that this is factually what happened, and he was going to leave the club, but he didn't want to take a pay cut. He asked Man United to pay the other 90, blah, blah, blah. They said no. They said no, United. Cool. So at that point, you go, right, you're going to play with the under-21s. You're not in my Premier League squad, and you will never play for Man United again. And now he has a decision to make. He either sits and plays with the under-21s every week, never plays for Man United first team ever again, or he goes, do you know what? Yeah, I don't really need all of that backlash of not taking a pay cut to leave, because we know that we've got the media lovies out there that will support him anyway, and he's going to get loads more backlash by sitting in the under-21s. He would have gone to West Ham. He would have gone to West Ham. But Ten Hag, every press conference,
and that's fair, and that's a fair bit of analysis. So of all the players he wants to get rid of, he should sit them all into the reserves. That's what he should do, all of them.
Well, it worked with Jose, didn't it? Because you got rid of Victor Valdez, and you got rid of Schweinsteiger by putting them in the reserves.
So it works. So it works for Jose. Did it work again? What we're talking in medium to long term success.
They left the club.
Hang on, let me finish my question. So when it comes down to what you say football's about, medium to long-term success, Jose doing things the way he did it lead to medium to long-term success for Man United? Yes or no?
Well, he got sacked.
Again, yes.
Winning 2 trophies.
So again, but answer my question, Lee. You quote Jose's methods as being the correct thing to do. Did it lead to long-term success, squad harmony, growth, and winning titles? But Lee, sorry, bro, but we are. So this is the thing. I'm asking you.
No, I said if you want to play around.
Lee, hang on, Lee. We are talking about the long-term success of the club because the debate is around: does sacking Ten Hag, bringing in a new manager, make Man United better? We're now talking. You're saying yes, it does. So we're talking about all the components that could get him sacked. Hang on. Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, but you're saying it could work. I'm saying I don't think it will until the fundamentals at the club change. We're getting into one of the fundamentals, which is getting rid of players. You give an example of how to do it based on a manager who was sacked, and the actions of him did not create that medium to long-term success that I am seeking as a Manchester United fan. So again, what I don't want my club to do, but it is what we're talking. Lee, if you let me finish, Lee, if you let me finish, you'll see that's what I'm talking about. This isn't, for me, this isn't just as simple as sacking a manager or selling a player. It isn't. It never has been. Man United have deeper rooted issues. And I understand where you're coming from. But that in isolation isn't the only thing that's needed. And I wouldn't even mind that being a course of action. But unless our owners sign off on these things, it isn't going to get done. Now, I want to go to some of these super chats because obviously I don't want to flog a dead horse for much longer. Terry and Co, will you ever do a live venue epic? We've done that before, the Terrace. That will definitely come again. You are basically accusing the Glazers of insider trading. That's preposterous. Again, if you want to defend the Glazers, Mr. Chowdhury, you defend them, but the evidence is out there. Go and research it, learn, educate yourself, bro. Don't forget, they can also make money selling the market in anticipation of a drop in share price. It's a cheat code, unlimited money machine for them. Absolutely. No manager in the world can help them owners out. Completely agree. What do you change at United to make things better, Terry? Changing the owner's not an option. It just doesn't look like it's happening, unfortunately. What you need to do is have a complete clear out of staff that are there, because even the Glazers they're overly responsible. But what's going on right now at the club is a manager's trying to change things. You've got recruitment staff that are no longer being listened to as much, so their jobs are under pressure. You've got players that are not being played. So when you have a fractured club due to years of mismanagement, everyone's backbiting and self-serving, including the manager maybe. And when you have everybody in different departments working in different directions, you never create cohesion. So for me, the only way the Glazers turn this round is by maybe clearing everybody out and starting again with senior management, managers, coaches. Again, though, that's hugely expensive for them to do and would maybe take a lot of their own investment and not willing to do it. So, yeah, that's what I think needs to happen if they stay.
Get the Norwich scarves out again. They were all holding them up in their Man U kits in the stadium the other day. I see the boy and his dad. Brand new kit, probably got Rashford 10 on the back, holding up his Norwich scarf in his shirt, sat in the stadium. Unbelievable, Jeff.
Funny how Lee gets his panties in a twist when he's interrupted, but can't let Terry finish a single. I will say this to everyone saying that. Someone in the next super chat was saying the same thing about me. That's just what me and Lee do. So I think viewers, you just got to deal with it. I will interrupt when I feel like the
conversation. Don't know what I'm saying because you know it's right.
No, because I've agreed with a lot of the things that you have said already about. I've not disagreed with anything you've said about Ten Hag. That's the irony in all of this. I'm not disagreeing with it.
You just did, because you said, "What? How does that lead to medium and long-term success?" We wasn't talking about that in that instance. We were talking about that, and then we led on to that.
Right.
How to get a player out the club. I then told you how to get a player out the club.
Yeah.
And you started going on about long-term medium. No, we're talking about getting a player out the club.
No, but that's not true, Lee. The conversation is about, does sacking the manager improve Man United in the medium to long term? So, of course, all the actions that you undertake in that process have to be able to generate an outcome which is leading to that success. And I don't believe going backwards and doing things that fouled and helped ruin the club under previous managers is the right action. As you said earlier, why continue to do the same thing over and over and over again and expect different results? For me, that's insanity. Lucy here says, Sancho did not refuse to leave the club, though, did he? I never said he did. In any way, shape, or form. What we didn't get in the summer was any club come in and try to buy him. So again, very hard to get a player out the club. I actually get Lee's point. If someone's in for him, you could threaten him with things. But if no one comes in for the player, it's even harder to get rid of him. And it looks like January clubs might come in, but nobody came in seriously, Lucy. So yes, but nobody accused Sancho of refusing to leave. So I appreciate your comment, but those words never left my mouth. Sacking Ten Hag will be a terrible mistake. Nothing changes. Ten Hag is not a yes man by all means. Ironically, this is the irony, Lee. I know you're not a big Man United fan at all, but read the articles. A lot of the staff internally are kicking off because he isn't a yes man. He challenges everything. So I think as a Man United fan, that's what becomes a little frustrating. Not you saying things. It's when it's like the articles are saying he's pushing back and he's creating problems and people internally are getting annoyed. And then on the outside, everyone says he's a yes man and a puppet. And the stories don't match up with the criticism. Again, headlines, I suppose.
That's because the people that are writing the stories are controlling the narratives all the time. Yeah, how comes the stories of Ten Hag and all of this is now coming out after a defeat? Yeah, for a 3-1 defeat the other day. How comes the stories about Sancho suddenly start surfacing? They've not been there for time.
Would you want me to tell you why this happens? And the club and the Glazers allow this to happen every time, because what happens
they go, right, drop the Sancho story.
No, it's called, and it's got a name. Okay, it's called the sleight of hand fallacy. It essentially gets you all focusing on here, thinking this is the problem, when the real issue is somewhere else. It's called the sleight of hand fallacy. And everybody sits there debating, debunking, and arguing over these surface level problems like sacking managers, selling Rashford. And I can list a few. Selling Rashford, selling Bruno. Sounds very much like get rid of that donkey Lukaku. Get rid of the virus Pogba. Get rid of the mercenary Alexis Sanchez. Get rid of that tree called Fellaini. Get rid of Rooney, he's over the hill. We've been doing this for a decade, and every time we've done those things,
is being controlled
by the Glazers, yes, overly by them. No doubt
by them leaking that out to people that will then write that.
Again, I don't think they directly leak it. I think what happens is people become self-serving, and they're fighting to make themselves.
Your PR guy, Neil Ashton, and then Neil Ashton.
No, but Neil Ashton again. Hang on. Let me respond to that. Yes, sometimes, but sometimes the stories are not flattering for Man United either. So Man United wouldn't release stories that they forgot to do due diligence on a player that might be a sex offender. There's no way Neil Ashton, the club's PR man, releases that. So some of it, but it's still coming internally because people start fighting against each other at the club, and it becomes very self-serving. So it's much bigger than that. Big up Lee and Terry. Thank you, Luke Skywalker. P.S. Will Colleen ever be back? Colleen's currently traveling in Colombia, I think. So one day she'll be back, but she's away traveling right now.
Let's go to the bathroom, mate. Yeah.
All right, mate. A manager that inherited the worst squad last year and became third gets no credit, Lee. I will come back to that when Lee's back. Smash the like button, people. Yes, please make sure that is being done. Please make sure you are subscribing to the Terrace as well. Who were in the worst condition last season, United or Spurs? And style of play, mentality, and recruitment have been better than Seven Hag. Saying Ten Hag is not a problem is wrong. Again, but I respect the super chat, Cash, but you're doing that stereotypical thing. I didn't say he wasn't a problem. I didn't say he shouldn't be criticized. I didn't say that he hasn't made mistakes. I didn't say that we shouldn't be ridiculing the selections, that we shouldn't be challenging some of the signings. I didn't say that we shouldn't be having a go at him for changing the formation. None of that has been said. All I'm stating is that sacking him does not fix Man United. And I've been right the last 4 times of sacked managers. No one can tell me why I'm wrong this time. So, Akash, please don't conflate the problem with a problem. He's definitely a problem at the moment when we're struggling, but he is not the problem. And that was never, just like the thing about Sancho, that was never said. United should go for that Brighton coach. I'm telling you now, Luke Skywalker, you bring De Zerbi in today, in 18 months, we're back here again having the same conversation. Klopp galvanised Liverpool at halftime. Brighton tactically outclassed Ten Hag. Maybe Ten Hag is overhyped and just lacks the skill set like a poor version of Mourinho. That could be true. Totally agree with that. But we've said that about the last 6 managers as well.
Yeah,
and it hasn't got better.
That you said, that he said about De Zerbi. And you said we'll be back here in 18 months. Which manager do you think can come in and do it then? Or if there isn't one, what, you're just going to keep Ten Hag and hope for the best?
No, I listen. It's not so much about keeping Ten Hag or even sacking him. It's labouring under the delusion that we are going to get better in the medium to long term. And I said this last year when we were winning. People are like, oh, you're not Glazers out anymore because you won a trophy. Go back to the show. I said, listen, I'm going to celebrate the wins. If we beat Bayern tomorrow, I don't think we will. If we do, I'll celebrate it. I will. I'm a Man United fan. But I said this when we won the Carabao Cup. As good as we're doing right now, this will not be sustainable. And I don't believe we'll get back to the peak of our powers with these owners. I believe no manager in the world right now could get us back to our optimum best. If Pep came in, if Pep was here for the last 7 years, he would not have won 3 league titles on the bounce on a treble at Man United. Not in my opinion. He's so good, he'd have won us something because he is probably going to go down as the greatest manager of all time by the time he retires. Some people think he already is. But no manager in the world right now is anywhere near Pep's level. So everybody else is so much significantly worse than him, or not as good as him. Worse makes it sound negative. I don't believe anybody makes Man United, for the amount of money we spend and the standards we have, will ever get us back to competing on a regular basis until we change how we're run as a club. I've been saying this. This isn't new from me. I've said this for the past 9 years straight on socials, and I haven't changed my stance once. I'm the only guy.
And you've just absolutely done the political. You're Mikel Arteta, mate. Say a
That's
lot.
That's not Mikel Arteta.
Didn't answer the question.
That was a straight answer.
I said to you, so on that basis, if there's no manager out there that can come in and do, be better and get you better medium and long term, so you're just going to keep Ten Hag and hope for the best? You never answered it.
I did answer it. I literally turned around and said,
so you're keeping Ten Hag or not?
No. Listen to what I said. I'm about to answer it again. I turned around and said, I'm not even against sacking him. Sack him if you want. But I don't believe all I said is that's fine. But I'm not laboring under the delusion that we are going to become successful and sustainable in the medium to long term. So again, this isn't about sacking Ten Hag. This is not about defending Ten Hag. If he gets sacked tomorrow and we bring in a better manager, I'll go, great. Let's see what this new manager does. I'll get behind him. But I won't.
Who is the better manager that can come in and do that? No, I said to you, who would you take?
Who do I think's a better manager? Okay. Who do I think's better? Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp. I do think Ancelotti is definitely a more proven manager. I think Diego Simeone is a better and more proven manager. So we can go and get them. And part of me is all for that. But I won't labor under the delusion that we're going to become consistently successful in the medium to long term. I don't think it fixes us. So
that's my point. So on that basis alone, you're sticking with Ten Hag then?
No, that isn't what I've said at all.
Yeah, but Terry, you're not answering the question. You're just going
Yes,
around.
I am.
Right?
So right now,
medium and long term.
Right now,
so on that basis, you're sticking with Ten Hag then?
No, I didn't say that.
So you get rid of Ten Hag and just, it don't matter. Nobody can do better anyway. So
I said to you, if we have to get rid of him, I'll support it.
Yeah.
Because I care about my club. But I'm not labouring under the delusion that another manager gets us back or gets anywhere near City's level, makes us compete for the title every year until we change the way we run as a football club. I've answered it. I'm not against the idea at some point sacking Ten Hag. I just don't think doing that and selling Rashford is the answer to our problems and making us sustainable over a medium to long term. Don't believe it. Because I've got
If you lose 7-0 tomorrow, you lose 7-0 and he's got history of a 7. Yeah. If you lose 7-0 tomorrow, do you think they will sack him? No, let's not say 7. Let's not take the mick here. If it's an embarrassing score, 4+.
Okay. If it's an embarrassing, I don't think they will sack him tomorrow, personally. If he gets an embarrassing result tomorrow and an embarrassing result against Burnley, I could understand with 385 million that he spent, if it comes out and they believe that he's losing that dressing room, I would actually rather them sack him earlier than letting it. The mistake, another mistake we made with Ollie and Jose is that when things got bad, we stuck with the manager too long. So again, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I would advocate his removal quicker. If the players are no longer listening, it's untenable to stay there. So I'm not against it, Lee. My answer stays the same, though. I won't sit here if we announce we're getting Ancelotti or Simeone, or we do a madness and we bring Klopp in, and I'm talking weird utopian outcomes here that won't actually happen. I won't sit here and pretend and delude myself into thinking that we will become an exponentially better team and highly successful in the medium to long term when we're run the way we're run. I don't labor on that under that delusion. And I think some Man United fans do. And the reason I say this, I've been in this game 10 years. I've been sitting here talking to fans for 10 years. And every time we get to this situation, whether it's the beginning, middle, or end of it, when the people are talking about the manager going, it's the same nonsense every time. Sell these 2 or 3 players, bring in this manager, patterns will appear, starter players will be here, we'll be back. 6 times running, it hasn't worked out. This could be 5 times running, it hasn't worked out. This could be the 6th. So excuse me for not laboring under the delusion that we are going to get better in the medium to long term. That isn't defending Ten Hag in any capacity. That is talking in the reality of the situation of my club.
Basically, what you're saying is then, well, we're just stuck here. We just have to go with the highs sometimes, cheer the win, and then when we get battered, call out the Glazers, get the Norwich scarves out. Then if we win tomorrow, oh, goody. Because you're basically saying that no manager can come in and do better medium and long term because the Glazers are the issue, which we know they are. But you're then saying, well, if Ten Hag gets sacked, well, I'll deal with that and I'll back the next one. But you're then saying in the next breath that until the Glazers leave, you're just going to keep going round the roundabout.
Yes.
So it don't matter if you sack Ten Hag then, does it?
But exactly. That, like I've literally said, but Lee, I've answered you 5 times. The first time I said it.
Around the round.
No, I didn't. I explained. Lee, I answered you very straight, very directly, very concisely, and very candidly. That I'm not against him being sacked. And then I gave you a very detailed example of embarrassed against Bayern, embarrassed against Burnley. Then if he gets sacked, I'd accept it. I would think that, and if it turns out he's lost a dressing room, I said I'd accept it. We created a scenario. All I have stated is that I'm not sitting here like delusional Man United fans who think that action will set us off to the future and we will become brilliant and sustainable over a long period of time. Is what, again, you should always in life be aiming for medium to long-term success, not short-term fixes. I don't want short-term fixes. They're not sustainable. So again, that's all I've said to you, Lee. Let's move on to some more of these super chats. Fergie managed under the Glazers for 8 years. The issues weren't around then, so how can this believe it's not the coach? Again, I can answer you that question. So they weren't running the club under Fergie. Fergie also had a lot more power and control over what was happening at the football club. But it's called erosion. It is called erosion. And once Fergie left and David Gill left, they took over full control, their ways, their standards, their behaviors, and it rotted the club. And this can set in quite quickly. Equally under the Glazers, we were still very successful, but that was based on a lot of work and a lot of purchases that were done before they arrived. Obviously the class of 92, the Rio Ferdinands, the Rooneys, the Ronaldos, and some deals that were done in the early stages of the Glazers when they had full control. But again, Fergie was still running things. In the latter stages, we started hearing the Glazeronomics when we weren't buying the Agueros and the David Silvas because the manager wasn't being afforded the money that he needed. When we sold Ronaldo, that money was kept by the football club. It used to pay interest. We replaced him with Michael Owen and Obertan. So this has been going on for a while, but Fergie's greatness enabled us to continue winning. Again, we've had no manager anywhere near Fergie's level since. So that's your answer there, my old mate. Thank you. Lee, I saw you. Okay, we'll come back to that one later. Sancho is 23, has a lot of yes men around him. United gave him 350K a week at 21. Jude has 190K-ish a week at Real Madrid. Sancho had history of misdemeanors. He did. And listen, I've defended Sancho as well. Like, I do think the club as well has... I want to say kind of mismanaged him as well. If they know that he's had some issues of maybe a little bit of immaturity, he's 21, right? That's young. Put a kind of detail in place to help him. Don't just let him off to his own devices. So the club's responsible for that as well, in my opinion, overall. This year says the dressing room is rotten when the fans empower the players. When you choose Pogba over Jose, player power is the problem. I agree with you on that. This here says a manager has inherited the worst squad last year and become third, gets no credit. Lee, by the way, Ten Hag was born into money, a lot of it, and these allegations are bogus. He couldn't get. Yeah, it's true. Do you know, his family are actually worth stupid money. Like the fact people say doing this for money isn't quite true, but Lee has given the manager credit.
He potentially helped his pals out at Ajax and his agent. Yeah, and saying, and big up to this guy as well. He's always in my shows as well. Big up to you, mate. Inherited the worst squad. Well, judging by the way your fans go on online, mate, Bruno's the best midfielder ever to grace football. Yeah. and Luke Shaw's the best left back in the world. Like I could go around Rashford's better than Mbappe. Like, do you know what I'm saying? You could go around the whole team. Yeah, the way your fans were hyping up players oh my days. Like, okay, cool. We inherited Harry Maguire. We inherited McTominay and McFred. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, you could do with a player like Fred at your club now, because your midfield is getting walked through every game. At least he'd actually have a go and run around a bit. The rest of them are just standing still. But I don't buy into that. It's a worse squad. It's a poor squad, but it's worst in terms of what? Maybe it's the worst Man United squad I've seen. Yeah, but worst in what sense? Is it the worst ever in football? No. Is it Man United's worst in my lifetime? Probably. But,
yeah, I don't think it's the quality of the squad. I believe a lot of it comes down to the mentality, professionalism at the football club, and everything else. And it's what has happened twice now at Man United on the bounce is as soon as a manager comes in and wants to put in real strict discipline, there's always a kickback. Because again, me and you were old enough to have experiences at work. We were hard workers, really. We were successful in our sales areas, but you always had those lazy bastards when someone new came in and gave them a kick up the arse, would hate on the new boss. And it's like I never used to. I got on with all my boss. I got on with all my
directors of the company. Scott Harrison. Yeah. Big up Scott. He's not a director of the company. He's left now. He's actually an author. He writes books now. But yeah, when he used to come in and run the branch for the day, I used to think, oh, not this guy again. Because like I was proper lazy with it. And he was so harsh on calling the customers, it's almost like he was sniffing for the sale before we get there. Right. And if they weren't giving him them vibes, then no, we ain't going on that one. I used to have so many arguments for that guy. But I'll tell you what, by the end of the week, I always had my best week when he was there.
Well, there we go. But that's again, you were what I would call a cruiser, as in you were very good at your job, but you didn't put the effort in. The problem is the people that are not very good, but also don't put the effort in.
Double plays in.
But this is it though. The only people that moan about disciplined hard bosses are either incompetent people or incompetent lazy people. No one that is good at their job or that has work ethic moans about having a boss who's a ball breaker. I got on with all my hard bosses because I was successful. And at the end of the day, unsuccessful people, weak, incompetent people don't like discipline. Simple as straightforward as that. Can we calm down? 4 huge disruptions with Greenwood, Sancho, Maguire, Anthony. A club with one of those would be rocking. Look at Arsenal with Saliba's injury.
Let me just highlight that very quickly. Yeah, they chose to handle that Greenwood situation completely wrong. Right, the Sancho situation, the manager chose to out him publicly. The Anthony situation, he's actually managed Anthony. Surely you should do your due diligence better. Yeah, like delve a little bit better into it. Yeah, like and the background. Surely you can check these things. I was listening to Big Steve the other day saying when they signed Gabriel Jesus, they got his school reports. Do you know what I'm saying?
So, yeah, no, mate, again, I agree. Again, the due diligence at Man United is absolutely catastrophically poor. The handling of the handling of the Greenwood situation has been horrendous. Ronaldo, the whole thing. And some of that's on the manager who's here. Again, the Greenwood thing started before he was the manager. So some of it's on him. But again, this is where I don't just look and go, it must be Ten Hag. We've been handling these things badly for a decade. You know, that's why I can't just get rid of the manager and we're fixed. You've got to look
deeper. It's not all on him, Terry, and he's walked into a club that's been comfortable with a culture at that club. Like I said earlier, the boy scores a goal, to go 3-1, and he's jumping around cheering like Pele just won a World Cup.
It happened 4 seasons ago. We're 1-0 down at home against Palace. Dan James on his third game at the club, scores the equaliser and celebrates. Remember, Rashford and Martial grabbed him and said, "Get back here, what are you doing?" Again, the culture at the club is wrong. Every time a manager, including Jose, tries to change the culture, the players kick back. And up until now, maybe, the owners have always gone with the players and allowed the players to rule the roost. Again, which is why I look beyond just what we see firsthand. Mr. Tirebox here says, Lee, go easy on him. He's getting it from all angles. Terry, I feel for you, bro. The situation is effed up. I'm hugely respectful of your loyalty, but I think it's to fault right. Sorry, but I think it's to a fault right now. New top manager needed, in my opinion. Listen, bro, and look, I'm not stating. I don't think a new top manager wouldn't improve things potentially, but I'm here looking medium to long term, and I don't think under these owners that massively changes. Mr. Ideal here says, owner will never sell. That's not true, but I hear you. They all owners in the history of football have sold at one point. All of them. So they will sell eventually. So what's the next best thing? Sack the manager, get a manager that's passionate for the club. Listen, find me one who actually...
Give it Giggsy to the end of the season.
Yeah, that'll work. Lee, world-class attention seeker, logic and reason for everything that happens in football, but Lee has opinions about stuff that he has no knowledge of.
A whole world-class level of waffle in there, mate. Thanks.
Thank you, Jason. Speaking of quality, I'm going to say something to you now as we move on. I didn't mean to do an hour on Man United, but we did. Arsenal on a new level.
Me, yeah?
Arsenal are on a new level as far as I'm concerned. Arsenal are on a new level. I still think you're one of the best teams in Europe. I think you're definitely in this title race. You beat Everton. Again, only 1-0, but you got the hoodoo off your back. And you beat Spurs this weekend at home, which I believe you will at this moment in time. This is, and you spoke, again, we're not 10 games in. We're only 6 games in at the end of this week. But it will be a better start to the season. If you beat Spurs, you'll be on 16 points, which is 1 point better than what you had this time last year. So in terms of a points accumulation and start to the season, the only element that probably won't be as good come close of business Sunday after 6 games is you'll probably have scored slightly less goals. You're currently on 9 and you're on 14 after 6 games last year. I can't see you scoring 5 or 6 past them, but only 4 goals conceded and potentially onto more points. I don't think the football's been as scintillating, but your control of games, the lack of opportunities people have had against you, your ability to win these games when you're not even at full throttle yet, the quality now coming through from Vieira, the brilliance, as you said, one of your best players in Trossard at the weekend, Jesus still to come back in, and I think an upgrade on goalkeeper in Raya. Arsenal, for me, are going to move on to another level this season, bruv. I think you guys look really, really good. You should be proud of what Arteta's doing so far this season.
You said that with such a straight face that I almost nearly believed what you were saying.
It's true.
Arsenal was scarier, yeah? Arsenal just got scarier. Arsenal are more scarier than last season.
You are more, as far as I'm concerned. Look, Liverpool and City have been scary. People say to me, "Why don't you do City and Liverpool scary videos?" Because you've been scary. You're still like it's been done. But Arsenal are better now than they were last year. 100% better.
Based on what?
Based on your control of games, the lack of opportunities that you're conceding.
Hold on,
you win. Let me finish. You win Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues on your defense more so than you do on your goals being scored. And you've got 9 goals in 5 games, which isn't, it's not the best, but it isn't bad. I think more goals are going to come. And interestingly, your manager said it, and I think he's telling the truth. Nobody has a guaranteed spot. He dropped Kai Havertz when people said he wouldn't. He's moved Gabriel back into the defense as soon as his fitness levels have got to where they need to be. He's given Fabio Vieira a chance through meritocracy. He's given Raya a chance, but not thrown Ramsdale under the bus. I think his management at the beginning of the season has been brilliant. You've started off in second gear, reserving energy. You've got a big season ahead. But so far, when I look at Arsenal, you look a better, more controlled, and a team that isn't going to concede as many opportunities as you did last year. You look very good for me. Not scintillating in terms of blowing everyone away, but controlled and dangerous. You make games boring at times, and that's a sign of a champion.
So you're saying we're going to win it?
No, it's still my favourites, but I still think you're a different level this year. And
so
you know,
it's all for nothing then.
No, it isn't for nothing. It isn't for nothing. And I'll tell you why it's for nothing. I'm very consistent. What I want from Man United is to get back to a high level on a medium to long-term basis when you're always in the race. You could win it this year. You could win it. But so far, City, for the first time under Pep's tutelage, they're 5 wins from 5 in the Premier League. It's their greatest ever start to a Pep Premier League season. And they're on course, if they win the Premier League this year, to become the greatest Premier League team of all time, if they're not already that. So this is what I would say. Arteta's doing an amazing job competing right now against what could be the best manager and best team the Premier League has ever seen. You've got to cut a man a little bit slack for that. But you guys are a very, very dangerous team. And I think if you keep growing, keep improving, you can win the Prem, you can win major trophies, and you can become successful. Because again, I would love my club to be where you guys are right now in terms of how you're playing, how you're controlling games, the harmony, the togetherness, the cohesion between boardroom, recruitment, the first team, the lack of anger from players when they're on the bench and they're not crying to their agents. I'm jealous. I'm genuinely jealous of how well run and the situation Arsenal find themselves in after a decade or so in the mud. It's an impeccable place to be. You've got to add the trophies, But we're assessing the season so far. Arsenal are on another level compared to last year, in my opinion.
Totally disagree. Totally disagree. We're one Declan Rice injury away from having Jorginho and Havertz or Vieira as a double pivot. Let's just get real with it. Yeah, we're one Bukayo Saka injury away from playing who on the right wing. What, Jesus? We could put Jesus there. I actually would, personally, yeah, which count as what I've just said. But if Saka's out for a sustained period of time, i.e. 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, but I would actually personally drop Saka. Yeah, I think he's been poor this season. He don't look on it. Yeah, and that continues on from his form from back in the last season. Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you then strip down our squad, right, and actually have a look at our squad, Terry, how many defenders do we have? We've got Ben White. We've got Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko. As much as I don't like Zinchenko, that is our best back four as it stands because Timber's out injured. Yeah, and Tierney's out on loan. But after that, what have we got? Tomiyasu, Kivior, and Cedric Suarez.
Okay, go on.
So my point is, Saliba is, but it was Saliba's injury that cost us the league. No, it wasn't. It was the goalkeeper doing stupidness. Yeah, it was Saka's lack of form for the last 8 to 10 games. Yeah, it was his constant stupid substitutions. Overplaying Bukayo Saka all season is the reason Saka looks so off it since the back end of last season. Like when we're winning games comfortably, he plays 90 minutes. That is, and you said players are now not, everyone's not undroppable. He is, because this manager won't ever drop him. Saka.
Who?
Saka. He's the only one in that squad that we ain't got a proper like-for-like replacement for.
Can I say one thing?
Actually, that's a lie. That's a lie because I've just mentioned defenders. Yeah, but again, this comes back to the recruitment.
Again, like-for-like replacement. Yes, you've got nobody as good as Saka on that right-hand side because Saka is one of the best right-hand sided attackers in Europe. It would be impossible to have someone at his level on your bench, in my personal opinion. However, you've got Trossard that can play there that you actually say is better technically than Saka. He's a better technical. Yeah, okay. So you've got Trossard that can play there, so that's a backup, and Gabriel Jesus that can both play on that right-hand side of that area. You could also, as a fourth choice option, have Fabio Vieira who goes there. When you see that Saka being dropped, I agree that his overall performances in games have not been at his usual standards so far this season. But do you want to know why I think he's class? Because even when he's on the periphery, even when he's not quite having it his own way, he's still the guy who is setting up and creating chances and getting those outputs. And that is a sign of a top-class player, that even when you're not in form, you're influencing a game. And I'm someone who has praised my own individuals for he was bad today. Yeah, but he still was that match winner. He still was able to get you over that line. And yes, I know it was Trossard that scored, and what a strike it was. But that whole goal was a team goal. Quick corner taken to the edge of the box. I want to say it was Fabio Vieira to Odegaard to Saka to Trossard and in. Still, though, even if your players are not at their optimum best, they're still delivering. That is why, as a rival, neutral from this situation, you look dangerous. And my point to you is this: you could be 6 games. You got to beat. What they fucking called Spurs this weekend. But if you're 6 games,
we're going to take them apart, by the way.
No, I think you will. But this is what I remember. Me and you spoke at the end of last season. You said after 10 games next season, we won't be anywhere near. I think your words were somewhere along the lines of, "Will be no."
I'll tell you exactly what I said.
You said we won't have as good a start as we had last year.
No, I never said that.
What did you say?
Last season, the first 10 games, we won 9 out of 10. Yeah. And I said we won't do that again this season.
Okay. And you might not quite do that, but you could be 6 games into it, so 60% of the way in, and have more points than you had last year. You guys are tracking towards a better start than last year, and you're not even in first gear. Sorry, like 5th gear, I suppose you'd call it, like top gear right now. I look at that, and there are problems still. There's little holes, and you can go, okay, we need to change this and change that. But if you look at what you complained about in the first 2 games, Kai Havertz got moved to the bench. Gabriel was back in the team. You're barely conceding chances. Yes, I think you've got to put the ball in the back of the net a little bit more, and I believe that will come. But I don't see, barring Saka maybe needing to be on the bench for a while, what else there is for you 5 games in, 6 games in after the Champions League this week to be overly frustrated, grumpy, or concerned.
Because I see the bigger picture, and I see it every year, and I have done for years and years and years, Terry. Last season, last summer, I said we need a striker. Well, that's still the case now. Still the case now. If you look at some of the chances we could have had put in the back of the net at the weekend against Everton. Fabio Vieira puts one 3 yards out, fizzed one across the box. Where's Eddie Nketiah? Where is he? Oh, he was on the penalty spot. Why? Why are you not on your toes running into the pen? If that's Erling Haaland, that's 1-0. Yeah, well, yeah, it was 0-0 at that time. Trossard did one. Where's Eddie? Oh, he's not there again. Yeah, Kai Havertz when he came on. Yeah, it weren't the greatest of crosses, and it ended up going out of play as he whipped it. It went out for a goal kick. But again, if that's a top-level striker, Ivan Toney, Harry Kane, Erling Haaland, all three of them are at the back stick nodding that in. Where's Eddie? Oh, Eddie's not there. Or Jesus, whoever it was. I think Eddie was off at that point. But there's 3 chances straight there. If you go back to the previous games, I think it was the Palace game. Palace or Fulham, one of them games. Yeah, Saka put 2 great chances into the box. Great chance. Fizzed the ball in. Fizzed them in. 5-6 yards out. Where's Kai Havertz? Oh, he's on his heels. Like, these are chances that you have to take. And I always see the bigger picture. Cool, we might have more points. We might end up getting 9 out of 10. Whoopie-doo, great. But when you go deeper in this competition, and listen, because people just don't like the way I say it, because it hurts their feelings. Yeah, but again, I said last summer we needed a striker. That's still the case. I said we needed somebody to take their workload off of Bukayo Saka. That is still the case. Yes, we've got players that can play in them positions, but it's not ultimately their best position. Gabi Jesus, it's not his best position. Trossard, it's not his best position. Then when you go to what else I said we also need another midfielder. That's still the case now, even with Declan Rice, because we went and bought Kai Havertz. Even if we'd gone and signed somebody else that was half decent, we still needed another midfielder. Then I said we need another centre-back. Well, guess what? We still need another centre-back. I said we needed a goalkeeper that's better. Well, we've now got one, right? So when you go and look at the Champions League one, cool. We're in a group where I think Lens are bottom. I think Sevilla are 4th from bottom because they got a win at the weekend. And we're in against PSV who are top and they've conceded 1 goal. We should get out of that group, but we should have beaten PSV last season and lost. Yeah, we did beat him in 1 game, but we lost in the other. You say about, this is what wins Champions Leagues and this and that and European Cups and blah. That's great. Go and have a look at our record in Europe under this manager. Lost to Olympiacos when we scored in stoppage time, straight from kickoff, bang, they scored, we're out, at home. Right? Then go and have a look at the Villarreal game against our former manager. 0-0 at the Emirates, we're out. Then go and look at Sporting Lisbon. Rests the whole team pretty much for the return leg after getting a 2-2 draw, which we're extremely lucky to get. We got a deflected goal. Yeah, and I think maybe a pen, I can't remember. Yeah, but it was 2-2. He then rests the players for the second leg at home, and we get knocked out again at home on penalties. So when you're going every 3 days, you're going to get more injuries this time round than we did last season. Yes, the injury to Saliba was a big miss. It was. But this time round, we're going to have more misses, big misses, because you can't be resting players in the Champions League that everyone's been telling me is the be-all and end-all, and you can sign world-class players in. Well, where are the world-class players we signed then? We haven't got one. Declan Rice is not world-class. He has the potential to be world-class, but he's not world-class. I'll tell you why he's not world-class. People that say Saka, I'll tell you why he's not world-class. They've never done it in the Champions League, mate.
So again, me and you can agree to slightly disagree here, because I believe my view is this: I believe they're both world class because they will do it in the Champions League. So I believe they'll do it. So in my mind, they are. But I'll sit in your world for a moment and say once they deliver in the Champions League, then we'll both agree they're world class. Then yes.
Well, it depends what they do in the Champions League, because
that's great. I'll give
you another example. One thing you said a minute ago. Before we go on, about the Bukayo Saka is you said Bukayo Saka, even though he's not really on it, he's still getting the output.
Yeah,
but that's where I differ. Yeah, yes, he set the goal up at the weekend. Yeah, but he was shocking.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
He was shocking against Man United.
Okay, so what would you rather? I know you want a player that is brilliant every game, but that's actually historically never been done by anybody. Not even Messi and Ronaldo at their pomp were good in every game. Zidane, I didn't watch all these matches, but I bet he wasn't at his optimum best every game, right? We know that. We're not stupid. So what would you rather? A player that delivers when he's playing brilliant and still gives you outputs when he's off, or a player that delivers when he's brilliant, but when he's off, he does nothing for the team.
The outputs mean nothing. It's irrelevant either way.
But his outputs have led to you having a better start than last year.
And if we've got a trophy for that, then.
But that's in the again. Hang on. So yes, you haven't won a trophy just yet. And no one.
We did the same scenario last season.
We didn't know, Lee. But you can only assess. What's interesting with you is you're assessing the start to your season, good, bad, and indifferent, based on the history. Yet when I talk about Man United and say the history of the way we run the club makes me less inclined to be excited about sacking a manager, you talk about me using history as a barometer for what I think will happen. You kind of allude to it as being wrong. So again, why do you not have that same logic for Arteta and Arsenal?
Man United are the most successful club in England, Terry. This is why I don't take the mick out of Man United. Yeah, Chelsea are the most successful club in the last 2 decades in England. Maybe Man City have overtaken them now. Yeah, I can't take the mick out of either of them 2 clubs. Can't take the mick out of Liverpool. They're more successful than Arsenal have ever been. Yeah, so the only club I can take the mick out of in the top 6 is Spurs because they've always been crap, right? So when you're talking about the previous, when it comes to Arsenal, the previous is we're on our longest trophy drought for a decade and we ain't won the league for 20 years. When it comes to Man United, yeah, we're talking about certain scenarios. Yeah, we're not talking about, Arsenal have had a great start. Well, Terry, we were 93% champions last season. Yeah, Man United have been poor last season. Fair play.
Lee, I'm not sitting here and saying that you should sit here now and go, we are 100% winning the league because of how we have started. That isn't what the claim is. My view is you still kind of come across frustrated at how you look when there are defensive improvements, shape improvements, control improvements, and you are having a better start than last year. I don't think anybody, even your biggest detractors, expect you to be jumping up and down going, wow, we're the greatest team ever in the world. But I just don't see why there's any reason to be frustrated. And I'll tell you as to why. I don't really get your answer about Man United, them being one of the most, you can't take the mick out of them. My question was along the lines of, it feels like you're telling me that just because the sacking of other managers hasn't worked, this one won't, and I shouldn't use history. Well, by that logic, the fact you've fouled in previous seasons under Arteta, that doesn't mean you'll foul this year, but you have that same outlook. The counter for me is this. The reason why I don't think sacking managers at Man United will work is I don't see any fundamental change in how the club is operating. If that happened, my mindset would be different. I look at your club as an outsider and think you are a fundamentally better run club now in 2023 than you were even 3 years ago. There's more structure, there's more harmony, there's more of a cohesive approach from the boardroom to what's going on the field of play. And Arteta's made his mistakes, there's no doubt, but he is a fledgling manager who is learning, and you guys keep getting better. Your growth is upwards, your trajectory is upwards. So for me, I'm just saying, I think you're better. I don't expect you to change your mind in 5 games on everything you feel, but you should be really, every Arsenal fan right now should be absolutely smug as you like, happy with the beginning of your season. Can't you be good, happy in that regard?
In terms of what? I know we were going to win nothing.
A good start to the season.
I know, well done. We had a good start to the season last season. We were August champions, September, October, November, December, January, February, and March.
You grumpy old man.
April and May, we didn't win. No, Terry, this is why I get frustrated. We didn't do enough in that transfer window, mate. Yeah, I've just said to you, we have 7 defenders on the books that are fit and available to play. Timber is injured. He's the 8th. So 7. One of them is Cedric Suarez. Cedric Suarez. One of them is Tomiyasu, who's been injured.
He's good, Tomiyasu.
Been injured for more time than any other player since he's got to the football club.
He's good, though, when he's fit.
Do me a favour. You think he's good?
He's good.
Oh, but he wins headers. I was expecting him to. He's 6'4".
He's good.
Yeah. Maybe you can teach Havertz how to win one, being the same height. Then we go to Zinchenko. Yeah, Zinchenko is everywhere but left back. Oh, excellent. Yeah.
Look at the way he plays. Look at the way he holds the ball in the middle. Sensational.
Trent approves of that, by the way. He's nuts. And he's even said in an interview. I think it was with Rio Ferdinand. Maybe it weren't. Maybe it was someone else. He's actually said, "I'm not very good at defending," or along them words.
Right.
So why is he playing? Oh, but he's playing left back, so he can invert. Well, I watched Real Madrid the other night. Didn't see Fran Garcia inverting, mate. Yeah, didn't see Danny Carvajal inverting, mate.
I watched that game, actually, and I did see your boy Tierney's team bottle a lead.
Okay, now let me tell you 2 things that I noticed out of that game. Let me tell you 2 things I noticed out of that game, because I'm with you. I'm with you. They got a goal disallowed that could have been a goal. It got ruled offside, but the player was interfering. Cool, right? But they were 1-0 up at the Bernabeu. It could have been 2. It got chalked off, so it was 1. Then they equalised, Valverde, and then Joselu. Joselu scores a backstick header. Kieran Tierney was sleeping, mate. Yeah, guess what happened? Before Joselu scored that goal, if you watched it, you'd know this because you watched it, yeah? And you have the volume on, I'm taking it. 2 minutes before that goal went in for Joselu, the Real Madrid fans were booing. The whole stadium was booing. Yeah? So guess what? Oh, guess what? Do you know why they were booing? I had the English commentary on it. Do you know why they were booing? Because it weren't a Madrid performance. They were letting Sociedad have too much of the ball. They weren't snapping in on them. They were letting them dictate the play. And their fans all started booing. 2 minutes later, they scored. But almost like accountability works. Kieran Tierney, by the way, then sleeping at the back stick for Joselu's goal. As soon as that went in, manager hooked him. Guess what? Okay. Guess what? Accountability again, Terry. Lost on English football clubs, my friend. But in Spain, they have accountability.
Are you saying the Real Madrid fans booing is irrelevant to the point I made? But in terms of subbing off, are you saying that your manager has never subbed off a player that's played badly or made a mistake?
He subbed off Zinchenko when Trent nutsed him, but he should have subbed him off 30 minutes before because he was crap all game.
So you just praised the manager of Sociedad for doing to Kieran Tierney what Arteta did with Zinchenko.
And guess what? Yeah,
that's weird.
Guess what? Kieran Tierney actually had a good game up until that point. Zinchenko had a stinker at Anfield.
Oh, okay. So I get you. So my point. Can I ask you a question? Genuine question about football. You know when pundits, on Match of the Day, and you might not watch these things, but pundits will talk about football. Okay, you don't watch it. But when pundits and journalists and fans talk about, forget Arsenal, just get them out of the way. So I know they make you sad. But should nobody praise how nice, genuinely, I'm not trying to catch up, I'm trying to understand you here, so please don't take it as a knock. When people praise how good the football is at Brighton play, they praise the good start to the season that Tottenham have had, they praise the football that Thomas Frank has done. Is your view that nothing should be praised, spoken about, researched, looked at, smiled about, or celebrated until it lands a major trophy?
Why? I'll give you context because you like context, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's jumping up and down about Brighton. Are they going to win anything this season? Probably not. Probably not. So you can jump up and down about how great their football is, all you like. I'd rather play crap all season, like we're doing right now, and actually win something. But are we going to win something? Probably not. Probably not. And do you know why? And I'll answer the question. You can praise as much as you like, but ultimately stop overhyping players on a couple of performances, stop overhyping how good a team is after a couple of performances, and stop overrating managers after a couple of performances. De Zerbi has got about a 50% success rate in terms of wins. Oh, but it's Brighton. Yeah, they've just made 400 million in two summer windows. Spend a bit more money. I've said this to you before. Okay. Arsenal, we're getting better. We've got more points and we've got all of this and all of that. Yeah, cool, fantastic. Yeah, but ultimately, we have not done enough. Every team in that league, I say it every week, Terry, are not serious. Manchester City are serious. I don't see Man City sitting there with a dog for their team photo, lording up the Community Shield. Oh, get someone that looks at you like Declan Rice looks at Win. This fan base, bro.
We're going off course. I want to bring it back.
We are not serious. Man City do not have all of this BS. They're there to win.
Okay, and I understand City win, but that isn't the question. I still don't feel like you're giving an answer that I totally understand yet, and maybe I've missed it. So I apologize.
I said you can praise all you like, but ultimately, no, you ain't going to win anything.
Okay, so you're saying though that is like Gary Neville on Super Sunday turns around and says, "Oh, the football Tottenham are playing right now is brilliant." You don't think any of that should be discussed until you win things?
They can discuss it if they want. It's up to them. I won't be. Yeah, they're playing great football. Well done, mate. Yeah, they're scraped a win in stoppage time against Sheffield United. Well done.
So we will never hear Lee talk about any club's style of football or anything until the end of the season now when all the trophies are settled.
No. You won't hear me talking about Arsenal, lording up great 4 or 5 games because I know deep down, Terry, it's going to lead to nothing. Any one of any other teams will say what they like. It's going to lead to nothing.
You're miserable. Lighten up, Lee.
I'm not
Have
miserable.
A beer. You're very miserable.
I'm going to go and get a beer. right? I'm not miserable, Terry. I know what's coming.
Mizog.
I know. I ain't heard that word for years.
Yeah, I know. Mizog.
My dad used to call me that all the time. Yeah, but
I'm not surprised your dad called you that all the time.
Yeah, but that's how I am, Terry. Yeah, I just say what I think. Yeah, and at the end of the day, right, Man City, people have come at the end of the season when Man City lift 4 in a row, potentially could do a treble again, right? They'll sit there and go, oh, but we finished second. And what? Oh, but we're back in the Champions League. And what? Yeah. When I see something the other day, it was actually it was yesterday. The team photo with the plate and the dog, right? Yeah. Guess what? Somebody posted it out and said what I just said. Get somebody that looks at you how Declan Rice looks at the dog. Yeah. I then got sent something because I sent it to my pal. Yeah, he's Arsenal as well. He can't stand the manager more than I can't, mate. Yeah, so don't watch that. Yeah, it'd get you cancelled. Your channel will be gone. Right? He hates him. Right? Well, anyway, he sends me a Man City fan or Man City account or whatever it was. Yeah, saying get somebody that looks at you like our Erling Haaland is looking at the Champions League trophy, and it's Erling Haaland looking at it. Yeah, levels to this, my friends. And that is why that club are successful and we're not, because they are built and they are built to win. Yeah, from top to bottom. But I've said to you before, and I know I keep harping on about Real Madrid fans. Yeah, if Real Madrid whole stadium feel that comfortable, they can stand up at 1-1, yeah, and boo their whole team. Yeah, their whole team. Guess what? They didn't score 2 minutes later. Why did they feel that comfortable they can do that? And why did the players raise their game? Because accountability. There was no accountability at Arsenal and Man United.
So I get where you're coming from. I also think the way I hear you. I think the way Arsenal fans behave right now would be very different if over the last 20 years they would have maintained the levels set in the earlier stages by Wenger. I think what's going on now is that, and I've said this to you before, is that the fans know you're getting back to your very best. They know you're getting back to the peak of their powers. And some people, Lee, and this is where I think you and them differ, is you'll celebrate it if and when you lift that major trophy. Where a lot of these people, they are enjoying the journey to get there. Do you know what I was watching
because
recently?
They've never seen us win it, Terry. That's why.
I know, no, but that's not true. Some of the gooners I know, friends of mine, are older than you, so they have seen it, and they're in the same mind space. But I was you probably like me, you watch Only Fools on Horses, right? I watched
best British TV program ever made.
It's phenomenal, and it's actually kind of some of the jokes are a little bit off now, but some of the storylines and plots are still good now. But in the final ever, not the final ever, they made 3 more. But the Hands of Our Time, when they become millionaires. I'm sorry if it ruins it for anybody, but it's old now. You should know. Del Boy's down, and Rodney said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "I miss it." He says, "As much as I've got the millions of pounds now, I've made it. I delivered." He wasn't until he got the money, and this was something that was written into the scripts by John Sullivan and the kind of actors put it in, because a lot of the actors felt this, because EastEnders, Only Fools made them, and prior to that, a lot of them were struggling actors that had to do other jobs. It was almost Del Boy only really appreciated all that hard work once he got there, but he realized, I actually loved the journey. The journey was the best part. It meant more to him than the millions. And now again, I know. Listen, let me think of my point. I don't believe we sit in a Lee. I don't believe that we all sit in a world where we all have to think and feel the same. I'm not advocating for that. That's not what my channel even stands for. However, the acknowledgement that for some people, the ride and the journey they're on is every bit as exciting and as important as the final destination that they're going to arrive in. Because I'll tell you this now, Lee, if you guys do get to the promised land and you win that Prem again, and you maintain your quality and win a few of them, and you win the Champions League, I know you'll celebrate, and I know you'll be happy. But the people that got on board with this ride early in the journey, I'm telling you, I believe they'll just be even happier. They're like, what an amazing journey, and I enjoyed every single minute of getting there, as opposed to being angry the whole time.
Themes along the way, yeah.
I think that's part and parcel of it, Lee. I think for me, the way I look at this, Lee, is this, right? Is that I've done okay in life. I've made some mistakes. I've failed at things. Those failures have helped me get to where I am. now I look back at hindsight is the most lucrative commodity known to man. If you could bottle it and sell it, you'd be a billionaire in 5 minutes. However, it's only when you get to the destination that you sometimes realize you needed that. And some of the drummings you took, if you guys get to where a lot of people think you will, some of those early drummings and those mistakes and everything that you made were part of the tapestry that got you to where you are. City are where they are now because of everything that's happened since that summer of 2009. Every mistake, every beating, every missed opportunity, Peter Crouch stopping them from getting to the Champions League as an example. All these things that have happened have led to this. It isn't just we appointed Pep and we got good. That's too simplistic. It's too easy. Every City fan would
they actually understand the aim of the game, Terry, is to win. Yeah, so
yes.
what they did is
they enjoyed the journey of getting there.
When they went in there, then Sheikh Mansour and Khaldoon and all that lot, they went in there. All the hierarchy went in there and said, "We're here to win. We're here to win.
Yes,
yeah, we're not here to make up the numbers and peddle out PR and phases and youth projects. We're here to win." Yeah, and guess what? How long did it take them to actually win? Not very long. Not very long, in comparison to how long we are without winning a title.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, so they can go.
3
4 or 5 years, 3 years, whatever it was, and go 3 years without winning a title from when the ownership took over. Yeah, but I'm sitting here being told, "Oh, we're in phase 4. Oh, say hi to Declan." Your club, by the way, your club is an even bigger disgrace because the other day, yeah, you lost to Brighton, embarrassed at home, played off the park, and they were in second gear. Right, the very next day, happy birthday, Stepney. What is wrong with these clubs? Who even is Stepney?
Oh, whoa! See, don't again.
I'm joking. I knew it would rattle you.
Talk about Alex Stepney, bruv. Champions League winning goalkeeper.
We got him.
Don't talk about Alex Stepney, bruv. Don't speak about Alex Stepney, bruv.
We got him.
Don't speak about Busby Babe like that.
Look how rattled he is. Say hi to Stepney. Happy birthday to Stepney. But this is my point, yeah? Right? This is my point. Man City, as a football club, don't do gimmicks. Yes, they might wish happy birthday to someone, cool. But they're not out here doing phases, projects, PR. Hang on, let me say one more thing and I'll shut up. Let me say one more thing. Right? Have you ever heard a Man City player saying top 4? I haven't. And if I have, I can't ever remember one. Right? Now let me say this. Your manager sat there last season and said we're competing with Tottenham and a few other teams, Liverpool, whatever it was, to get into the Champions League. Yeah, to finish 4th or something, and that will paraphrase him, but it was something along the lines of that would be like winning the league or something along them lines. It weren't exactly what he said, but along them lines, right? How many of our players in pre-season last season sat there and said the aim this season is to win the Europa League and get top 4? Well, by that metric alone, we failed then. Yeah, now we're handing out new contracts left, right, and centre for these people. Yeah,
this is what I would say to you, Lee. So let's not go off that point because I think it's a good point. Yeah, you don't hear City players talk about that anymore. I don't know if this is a fact, but I'm going to make an assumption here, so I'm being very clear. I bet if you go back to between 2009 and like 2014, I bet you can get City players and City's PR and City's articles and tweets and whatever else they put out that celebrates years when they made top 4, where players say that that's where we are right now. That's what we're trying to achieve. The difference is that was at an earlier stage of the development of their club to being where they are right now. And I get where you're kind of coming from. I really do. However, like acting like City didn't post happy birthday to their players on social media 10 years ago when they weren't doing trebles and weren't winning Champions Leagues is crazy. And again, by your logic, no club should wish a legend of their club happy birthday if they're not winning Premier Leagues or Champions Leagues or if they've lost a game recently. But how far do you take these things?
You've just been embarrassed by Brighton, and the very next day you're tweeting out happy birthday Stepney.
Alex Stepney. Again, so I don't mind that because that's a club legend who won us the Champions League. If it was to one of the players in the first team squad now, or to, if it was a happy birthday to Jasper, but Jasper Blunkus won a treble.
Sanogo. Happy birthday, Yaya.
No, I get you. So if it was after an embarrassing result and it's someone like Sanogo, I get it. But a club legend that deserves respect, no. Look, there's obviously the Champions League kicking off soon. I want to get your thoughts quickly on the English teams that are playing. How do you think Newcastle are going to get on? They kick off in half an hour.
I think they'll win. I don't think I don't think they've been great this season, right? But they got a result at the weekend. They're going to be up for it. I read something earlier as well. A couple of Newcastle fans got stabbed on the way back to a hotel, apparently.
Oh, no.
Crazy, mad. Hope they're all right. I don't know how bad it was. I just see a report earlier that just popped up. But AC Milan got hammered at the weekend, didn't they? 5-1, was it, in the Milan derby? So, yeah, they're going to have to come back with a response. But I just don't see it. I think Newcastle are doing. Yeah, Newcastle are going to be right up for it. And I think their group, like everyone's writing them off in that group. Are they any worse than Dortmund? I don't think so. AC Milan, cool, they got to the semi last season. Yeah, but I don't think they're doing that this season. So I think Newcastle, PSG is the one, isn't it? If they can nick a couple of points away from home, 3 points, 4 points away from home in them 3 games or whatever, and then the home games they can pick up their points, they're through. I think they'll get out of the group. Yeah, I think they'll do Dortmund. I think they'll do AC Milan. PSG might be slightly different, but I don't know. That Newcastle crowd, mate, on a Champions League night, first time back for how long? That is going to be extremely different to what them PSG players have ever faced.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Arsenal game, you feel like you'll win that comfortably?
We're smacking them up. Yeah, they're so cocky. It's mad. Like, honestly. Yeah, see, there's how about positivity? It's right there. We are hammering them. Yeah, human sons coming out going, oh yeah, maybe waffling, mate. You've had a couple of wins. Where was you last season? Yeah, like I think we'll do them quite comfortably because they're going to come to the Emirates. They're so arrogant after winning nothing pretty much in my lifetime. They get a couple of wins. They're all on the concourse. The longest bar in the world's getting like drunk dry. The cheese rooms are full up. They're all singing about Ange Postecoglou. The good times are back. The club shop's selling out of everything. And Daniel Levy's sitting there laughing, going, we've done it again, lads. We've done it again. Done it again. They're going to come to the Emirates. They're going to play their Ange ball. Ange ball. Yeah, good one. So easily pleased. That club, man. It's no wonder they've won next to nothing for 40 years and 41 years. They're so easily pleased. Yeah, I said to Henry the other day, what do you reckon? He goes, oh, got great style of play. I said, okay. I'd rather have no style of play and win a trophy. Like, do you know what I mean? It is what it is, isn't it? But
how did we get onto PSV when I met you? Speaking about Arsenal, I meant in the Champions League.
Oh, I thought you meant about Arsenal Tottenham this weekend.
No, I meant PSV tomorrow.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Arsenal Tottenham. That's what I'm
saying,
mate.
Sorry.
Oh, I thought you meant Arsenal Tottenham. That's what I was saying.
No,
they're gonna. Let me just say quickly about Spurs.
Yeah, finish up. Yeah, go on.
They're going to come to the Emirates. They're going to be so arrogant that they think they can come and play and get all of the ball and do all of this and do all of that and Maddison this and Basuma that and Yaya Soure and all that I'm seeing. Yeah. Like, do me a favour. You do any of that at the Emirates, no matter how poor we've started in terms of performances, we are battering you lot. Yeah, we are battering that lot. Comfortable victory. It's the same every year. They all get mouthy, all the content creators. Oh, yeah, I think this is different this year. It's different this year. And then they go away licking their wounds every year. Like, it's crazy. In terms of PSV, we should win every game in that group. Whether we do or not remains to be seen. Like I said, this manager in Europe has got a horrendous record. And we actually lost to them last year in the Europa League. So, I don't know. They're 4 wins out of 4, 1 goal conceded. We're 13 points out of 15. Not playing great. I think 3 of our goals have been deflected. 2 have been penalties out of the 9 that we've scored. It's not great. So, I don't know. I think we'll beat them, though. I don't think they've got enough quality to sustain it for 90-odd minutes, or, well, nearly 100 minutes now, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it'll be different in the Champions League as well, especially I think we take it a little bit more seriously. Red Star Belgrade kind of play City. See any upsets happening there?
Nope. Not at all.
Easy win. And how do you see Bayern Munich, Man United going?
I hope it's 5-1. I hope it's 5-1. We've lost 5-1 to them 3 straight games. So, yeah, 5-1 would be nice. Although, actually, maybe if you got a win, yeah, then you'll keep the manager for another month. So,
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll happen. Maybe. We've got some super chats here. This one says, who has the better squad in 11, Liverpool or Arsenal?
That's a tough one. That is a tough one. It's pretty close. Liverpool are a couple of injuries away from capitulation, but so are Arsenal. That's pretty even. I don't know.
Fair enough.
The difference is they've got a player in their team, Salah, who's going to bag 20 plus. We ain't got a 20 plus. It's the only difference. Yeah. So
I hear you on that. Why can't he be happy? He was exposed. He would be happy if we compete. We are ahead of schedule. There is a reason Chelsea, Madrid, Bayern wanted Arteta.
None of them wanted him, mate. Yeah, don't listen to these puppets that are on the Arsenal payroll indirectly. And I'll be happy when we ain't gone our longest ever title drought. We ain't gone 29 years in Europe without a trophy, and we ain't on our longest trophy drought for a decade. So come back to me when we actually win something rather than just fantasy.
There we go. But Lee, Northside is teaching Win the Dog Portuguese curse words.
See, this is another thing as well. Big up Daryl, yeah? Big up to you, my guy. Cedric Suarez was teaching the dog Portuguese. I mean, turn it in. Like, nicking 80 grand a week out of the football club and you're standing there on your Instagram teaching it Portuguese words. Get in the bin. Yeah, get in the bin. Shouldn't even be at the club. Mad. It's mad. But this is where football's headed. That's where it's gone. The game's gone so far away from what it used to be. And that is why I rate the teams that actually want to win. Yeah,
I hear you,
everyone else is just not serious, Terry, unfortunately.
This here says Lee used to be honest. He can't admit he's wrong. Look at Arsenal's progress in the last 3 years compared to Liverpool, Man United, and Chelsea.
But in the last 3 years, Liverpool won a title, mate. Man United won a trophy last season. Yeah, and Chelsea won a Champions League. Where's the progress? You've just compared us to 3 teams, yeah, that have won a league, a Champions League, and a cup. In the last 3 years, progress. No, we've declined, mate, because four years ago, we won the FA Cup. We've won nothing since. Real talk, bro. Have a word with yourself, because Champions League with Chelsea, League with Liverpool, and the League Cup with Man United. I'd take any of them trophies over progress.
This says Lee has overhyped players after one season. So how is he telling people not to do the same? Caicedo is one of them after one season. Better than Rice, yeah, is what D says.
See, another one that just looks at 2-3 games that a player plays for a new club and decides that he's shit. Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
This here says Lee emulates how I felt for years. Need a top striker, is what Sam says. And he says most older Arsenal fans want what Lee get what Lee means. Tell PTSD for us. I hear you. Agree. Should have done more in the window, but should we just be miserable about things we can't control? What's the point of watching if you can't enjoy?
Ask that to the Leon Ultras, mate. Ask that to the Leon Ultras who dress down all of their players.
That's not an answer to him. Why should he not enjoy watching his team because he hasn't won a trophy yet?
He can enjoy watching whatever he wants, yeah? I'm going to hold this club accountable for its words, Terry. We're moving to compete with Europe's elite. Well, tell me when we're doing it then. Yeah? Because we've been knocked out of Europe 3 times under this manager to 3 teams that should never beat Arsenal.
This here says the standards are the standards. Wenger and Graham found a way. George
Graham, ledge.
George Graham. Sorry, yeah.
Arsenal's best ever manager.
Away whilst Arteta bottled it last season. Big up Lee for never switching. Arsenal over players, over managers. If he fouls, get someone else. Simple. Thank you for that super chat. We didn't sign one outfield player since July the 15th. Not good enough. January is a crucial window again. We never learn. Cheers, guys.
Tell him, brother. Tell him.
Chelsea situation more of an inside job than 9/11. George Bowley administration out. Jesus Christ, I'm not getting involved in that one. Lee Ousmane Dembele was available for 50 million.
50 million too much. He's always injured, bro.
Yeah.
I like him as a player when he's on it, but he's never fit.
I hear you there. If Lee doesn't think the squad is good enough, then why is he expecting Arteta to win the major trophies with it? Fact is, Arteta is overperforming.
Well, I'm not expecting us to win anything. I sit on here every week and every show I do on my channel and other channels, and I know we ain't winning nothing, mate. Yeah, I'm not expecting us to win anything, but the way our fan base is overperforming, he's underperforming. We're the third biggest club in England. We ain't won a league for 20 years. He's been here for 4 of them.
Danny says, please ask Lee to find a better bench than Arsenal's in the Premier League this season.
If he's an Arsenal fan, yeah, I guarantee you weren't saying anything about our bench. Oh, it's a thin squad. The bench is the same, my friend. Yeah, Tomiyasu's still on it. Eddie Nketiah's on it when Jesus is starting, when he's fit and available. Yeah, Trossard's still on it. Well, he was there last year. Yeah, Fabio Vieira started one game, but he's on the bench. He was there last year. El Neni will be back on the bench soon. Who else have I missed? Kivior's on the bench. He was there last year. The only difference, Ramsdale's now on it for that game, but Raya is the only different player. Reece Nelson's still on the bench. He was there last year. And this lot were waffling about Finn's squad last year. But now, all apparently, over the summer, this Finn squad and our Finn bench is now apparently amazing. It's the best bench. Yeah, mate, the levels of delusion, they're going to be crying come May. Yeah,
Mr.
they might wake up one day.
Mr. Tybox says, Terry, you were spot on about Arsenal. Every word, we are better. Much. It was 70% Saliba while we fouled last season. Lee is wrong again.
Disagree.
But he also comes back to say that the abuse Lee gets for having a strong opinion is lame. At least he's got the balls to say it. Balance is important. Being butthurt over it is what is wrong with the world. Offended babies. By the way, I agree with little of what Lee says. And as I
no, this is true. But he's never been a dickhead about it. He's always been respectful. Yeah, and he's never come in here chatting rubbish. Right. The fact is, there's not many people on the planet that do say what they think as to what they think people would like to hear. Yeah, I ain't one of them. Yeah, I am not one of them.
I certainly know that to be true. It's not just really funny. I put a lot of videos out today about how Ten Hag could be on his way to being sacked. And the amount of Man United fans are like, screw you for even putting it out there in the universe. I'm like, bro, I'm preempting. I'm telling you what's coming because I know. Big up Lee and Terry. Man U has systemic failure. Change the people in charge of the system. That's the root of United's problems. As for Arsenal, KSE isn't good yet, but let them improve and prove us wrong. Thank you, Felix. Rank these players: Gertie, Cambiasso,
Khedira,
Mascherano. With other and other question: would Adriano become the third best Brazilian if his dad didn't pass away? I don't even know about that personally.
No, I don't think he would. He was a good player, but no, I don't think that.
No, not the third best Brazilian ever. Rank those other guys in order. Oh,
well, that for me, that's pretty easy.
Go on.
Guti, Mascherano, Gattuso, Khedira, Cambiasso.
Is that Sami Khedira?
Yeah.
Yeah, I put Sami Khedira behind Cambiasso at his best. I put Gattuso above Mascherano as well. But yeah, that's fairly similar to mine, to be fair. Viewers, let us know what you think. Lee, always a pleasure to talk football with you, mates. It's always good to argue over those things. Viewers, please hit like buttons before you leave. Get this past 1,000. We're back after the Newcastle game and Man City's games today.
I'm going live for that as well. I'm Lee Reacts. I'm 7 minutes late.
Go and check that out. Go check that out now, people. And we'll be live after those games for match reactions. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon.